Good morning, everyone. And thanks. Is that a welcoming sound? Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here and to discuss the Dharma with you. And we can, by discussing the Dharma, actually we are learning together. And I have to apologize because I'm not feeling well. So I will be slow, but hopefully I can finish the entire lecture. Okay, and as you see here, the topic of today is understanding emptiness. So before I talk about what emptiness is, let's see what emptiness is not. Because we know there are some misunderstanding of emptiness. So when you hear the term emptiness, what is your understanding or impression of empty? Any ideas? Okay, good.
Never thought about it.
Never thought about that. That's good because you never thought about that. That means nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in here is what we need to discuss is that in general, in Buddhism, when we talk about emptiness, quite often we see the analogy of space. So this analogy of space is to picture what emptiness might be. So when we say the cup is empty, so that means this cup is empty of something in the cup. So when there's liquid, no water, no juice or nothing in the cup, we say the cup is empty. But the idea of emptiness in Buddhism doesn't mean that it is void, it is hollow, it is nothing. Okay, so we need to know when we use the analogy of space to help us understanding emptiness, we are talking about the undestructible. I should not move, maybe. That tells us that the space cannot be cannot be destroyed. When material does not cooperate, what can we do? Just
maybe try holding the mic instead of.
But I was not moving. Hope this one is better. Okay, good. So we still have to be grateful for the material world. Yeah, without it, we cannot really do everything, right? So in that also tells us about the non-duality between matter and the mind. Our mind depicts or perceives the outside world, and the outside world is the world of material. But we do have interconnection between the us and the outer environment. Okay, let's go back to our analogy of space. So space, it looks like it's empty. It's nothing. It has nothing. But still in the space, we can have a lot of things, just like in this space of the room. Inside the room, we have computer, we have the desks and the chairs and the lamps and like the screen. So when we have something in a space, is the space changing? Does it change anything? No. By adding something to the space is not changed. And by removing something from the space, is the space still the same space? Yes. So that means space is not destroyed. So it cannot be changed. And that is one of the main concepts of emptiness. And the other thing is that we need to know, to emphasize that emptiness does not mean annihilation. Because when people talk about emptiness, they think, okay, everything is empty. And the world is empty. My life is empty. And even my mind is empty. Is that possible? No. So empty doesn't mean to wipe out everything. Doesn't mean to negate everything. So we need to know that emptiness is not the opposite of existence. Just like we have the analogy of space. In this space, we have a lot of things. So all these different sentient beings and insentient beings in the space are existing at the same time. So when we talk about emptiness, we should not negate everything. And instead, the emptiness also itself is existence. It is identical to existence. Just like we use this cup as an example. This cup is empty. Doesn't mean that it is empty of, doesn't mean that it does not include or does not hold any liquid. That's why it's empty. It is because the nature of this cup itself is empty. And later we will talk about what that means. And here the point is that we should know, because emptiness doesn't suggest annihilation, doesn't really suggest full negation. And that's why we need to know emptiness is not something that that us feel like, okay, my life is so down and it's so blue and there's no hope at all. And that's why we have to understand emptiness does not suggest pessimism, okay? Instead, when we look at emptiness, we see a lot of hopes, a lot of possibilities, and we can see the true reality of everything so that we can have clear insight of things, and we will not be deluded by the outside world. And also we will not be deluded by our own thoughts as well. Okay, and let's talk about emptiness. Emptiness, this term in Sanskrit is śūnyatā. So śūnyatā, its original meaning means nothing, means zero. It means emptiness. But in Buddhism, we borrow this term. Of course, like we just talked about, is empty of something. So when we define emptiness, we have to understand it's empty of a self nature. So what does self nature means? It means nothing exists on its own right. If something exists on its own right, means that this thing has autonomy. It is fully independent. But it is impossible in in our Buddhist concept. And also when we talk about emptiness, we can use this term in substantiality to understand it. Because when something is substantial, it means that it is not changing at all. And there is an underlying essence in there. But that is not the Buddhist belief. So when we talk about emptiness, it is empty of something substantial. Okay, and also when here I need to clarify that emptiness is not nothingness. Like we mentioned, emptiness is not annihilation. So when we talk about emptiness, it's not nothingness. It is no thingness. What is the difference between these two? What do you think? No thingness and nothingness.
It's not something concrete and solid that is ever changing and interdependent.
Okay, good. So this means no thingness or nothingness?
No thingness.
No thingness, good. So we talk about there's nothing nothing is inchangeable. So everything is changing and there's no underlying unchanging entity that stands on its own. And that's why it's called no thingness. If we understand emptiness as nothingness, that means that is what we just talked about. It's a misunderstanding. So here is the key difference between these two. Okay, so it's no thingness. And so when we talk about no thingness, then we have to understand the Buddhist main concept of no self. No self in Sanskrit is asbhava, means that there's no self nature. And this self nature is thingness. So there, emptiness suggests that it's empty of a substantial self, no underlying unchanging essence. And so when we talk about emptiness, then we know emptiness it itself entails all kinds of possibilities. It is because it's empty, and that's why we can create a lot of things. If it is not empty, then there's nothing we can do. Just like this room is empty, if we use it as an analogy, it is empty, and that's why we can put in all the different furniture and people can come in, and in this room, there is also light, and there are also small particles of dust, right? So that's why it is possible we can, and also because it is emptiness, and that's why we can rearrange the furnitures we have. If it is not empty, then everything is fixed. Nothing can be changed. That's why we talk about emptiness, and emptiness makes us, our life feel like everything is so hopeful because we can change it. And let's talk about more about the no thingness, because the thingness is something substantial. And since we deny this thingness, then we have to understand why something is not really substantial, okay? And everything can be changed. Everything is not fixed. So let's use a coin as an example. A coin is not merely a coin. If you have a coin made of bronze, what can you do with this coin? Pardon me?
Oxidize.
Okay, good. And what else?
Rusty in the future with water.
Can become rusty. So the coin itself is changing, right? Okay, and what else?
Screwdriver something.
Oh, that's good. Use the coin as a screwdriver. What else? What are the other functions of this coin? You can melt it, and then you can exchange like financially, you mean money, right? Okay, good. So that is its original value of the coin.
Have several functions.
Several functions, one of the function, okay? And he talked about we can melt it and we can reshape it. If you have one coin or a lot of coins, you can make it into a small figure, or you can make it a little tiny Buddha statue. So a coin is not always a coin. A coin can be turned into a Buddha statue. And also you talk about exchange. Like a coin, maybe you have a coin that is values only 25 cents. So maybe if you have a coin now, currently it only values 25 cents. It's just a quarter. But when it gets old, 200 years from now, will it become an antique? So when it turns into an antique, the value is no more 25 cents. It might become 25 bucks or even 250 bucks. So does that mean that tells us that the value of the coin is not fixed? Also, so the function of the coin is not fixed. The value of the coin is not fixed. And also even the shape of the coin is not fixed. Just like the gentleman said that it can become rusty. So the shape can be changed. And also if we put it with a lot of effort, and if there's someone who has a lot of strength and then change the shape of it, it's possible. Or we can use some kind of machine to change the shape of it. So it does not stay the same. And that's why that is the point of emptiness, because it can change. And also with a coin, maybe we can use it to design something, right? It can become some kind of art. So when we look at that, then we see there's a lot of possibilities. And that's why life is full of all these possibilities. With these possibilities, we can create a better life. And we can create a better life of the human world and also of our inner world. Because we don't have a fixed mind, we can change our mindset. And that is the key point of understanding emptiness. And so we keep talking about change. Then we need to understand that when we talk about emptiness, it's full of dynamic. The world is not static. And even our mind, our thinking is not static. So it's full of fluidity. And so everything, all the phenomena are constantly changing. And also when we talk about the empty, because a few minutes ago, I talked about empty is empty of something. So here we come to this point, emptiness is empty of sameness. We talk about the change, the value of the coin, right? And we talk about to change the different function of the coin. And that suggests that it's empty of sameness. The coin does not stay the same. And even the value and even the function of it, even the shape, everything, all the different aspects of the coin does not stay the same. And it can be changed. So here is the point of putative continuity. What does that mean? When we see a coin, we think that's the same coin. Yesterday you got this coin, today it stays the same, tomorrow you will be the same? No, it's changing. But the change of the coin is not that visible. It's not very obvious. And that's why we are fooled by this putative continuity. When we go to watch the movies, when we see a movie and we see a lot of, see the film, and we know when a film is produced, different films continues and very quickly. And that's why the movie is created. Just like when we draw, make a cartoon, and we have to draw a lot of pictures, different pictures. It has different motion, and by change it a little bit, and we see the continuation of one movement. But in fact, it's all changing. But for us, we are seeing its continuation. And that's why it's called putative continuity. We think it's continuous, but in fact, it is not. And there's a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus. He once said that no man ever steps in the same river twice, or it's not the same river and he is not the same man. Do we agree with that? So he was a Greek philosopher, but the concept he emphasized about the change really echoes the teaching of emptiness in Buddhism. And so we kept talking about changing and talk about the impermanence. Then that is the very key point for us to understand emptiness. And other than emptiness, we also can talk about the interconnection of everything. Just like earlier, we talked about the connection between the mind and the material world. And now we can talk about something that exists in this world. In Buddhism, there's a term about that is called existence. Okay, so this existence, how does something comes into being? In Buddhism, we say that is dependent co-arising, because we need to rely on different causes and conditions. Then something is created. So something is not created by just by an almighty agent. It's created or it arises because of different conditions and causes. So, and that's why we can see the different existence, their mutual dependency, their mutual dependence. So they are all interconnected with each other. So when we talk about emptiness, we need to understand the interrelationship between these different phenomena and also sentient beings and insentient beings. Thich Nhat Hanh, he coined a term which is called interbeing, because being is the same as existence. And so different existence, they have the relationship. Just like I'm sitting here on a chair, so there's connection between me and my chair. And also there's connection between my chair and the floor and the house, and the connection between the house and the garden, and the connection between the garden and the city, Atlanta, and the connection between Atlanta and all the different people from different ethnic groups in America, and also the relationship between the United States and other countries, and even relationship between the Earth and other planets and the entire universe. So these are the interbeing between each other. So we can look at the interbeing between sentient beings and insentient beings, and small, something that is small and something that is large, that is big. So these are different aspects for us to understand it. And Thich Nhat Hanh, he gave an example. He said, from a piece of paper, we can see the entire universe. Okay, what do you think? Any idea about this? From a piece of paper, we can see the entire universe. Why? What do you think of this piece of paper?
Started from, what's made from the woods, wood come from the nature. The beginning of the, I guess you can say, whole universe. This is a one time.
Yeah, very good. So a piece of paper comes from wood. So a piece of wood comes from
Earth.
From
Earth.
From Earth. Good. So from entire tree, right?
Yeah.
And the tree comes from the earth. And the earth is part of the universe.
The universe.
Yeah. So actually we are looking at this, and if we look more about the detail of this and see the process of how this piece of paper is made. So it comes from the wood. So someone has to cut the tree, right? And before someone cut the tree has to grow. What supports the tree to grow? The sun, water, air, and nutrition. So where does the nutrition comes from? The soil. And what kind of components is in the soil? Mineral? Yes, and also maybe if we have little bugs or animals, they die and they are decomposed, becomes energy, becomes the nutrition, right? So from this piece of paper, we see the person who cut the wood, maybe someone who cleaned the tree, and also the animals, they sacrifice their bodies, right? And we have the natural mineral and also the water. And where does the water come from? We have underground water, and this underground water comes from the rain. And the rain comes from the clouds, yeah. And the clouds come from where? From the ocean. So we see a cycle here, right? An entire cycle of this water system. And we also see the cycles of how a tree can grow and how a tree is connected with other animals or even human beings. And not only a person who cut the wood, we also need some people who make a piece of paper. And we also can think about the person who invented how to make paper, right? And also the person who sell the paper, the person who buy the paper, who buys the paper. So all these are all together. And also a piece of paper, someone who is going to use the piece of paper. So in a piece of paper, we can see the human world, see the animal world, see the entire nature, and also how we are connected with this piece of paper. When I perceive a piece of paper, when I go to the bookstore and look at the paper and I want to choose which color I like. So we are distinguishing the outer environment. And we are trying to distinguish, I like this, I don't like that. So when I hold a piece of paper in my hand, what I think about the paper actually is entailed in it, right? And how I like it, how I don't like it, how I'm going to use it, and how I see the value of this paper, and how I see the function of this piece of paper. Yeah, and even how I perceive this piece of paper is different from the other lady who will perceive this piece of paper. So from a piece of paper, we can see the entire world. So these different conditions and components, they are connected with each other and they coexist at the same time. Although we talk about the putative continuity. So that is also included in there. And that's why it's called interbeing, because they exist at the same time. And they also exist transcending the three phases of time as well, the past, the present, and the future. So from a piece of paper, we can see the space. We can also see time. These are all connected in that. And that's why this concept of interconnection can help us understand what is emptiness. Because everything is all related. And by looking at that, all are interrelated, then we will create the gratitude we have toward the entire world. Because without someone who made the paper, someone who earned money so that I can buy the paper, and without the sun and the water and everything, then I cannot own this paper. So if we can look at everything from this perspective, then we will be thankful to the entire world. And that's why if we understand emptiness, actually we will cherish everything. We will appreciate more about others and also the environment. And so from this analogy, a piece of paper, we can see one includes all and all are included in one. So the entire universe is included in a piece of paper. All the different phenomena, all the different beings are included in this piece of paper. Like I said, if we can understand the interrelationship between ourselves and the outer world, then we will appreciate what we have. And also we will appreciate what we don't have. And so let's talk about more about the self-nature, because we talk about the changing aspect of everything. So we need to understand that all dharmas does not have the 4 characteristics. Dharmas here means all different phenomena. So a person is a dharma, a lamp is a dharma, a computer is a dharma, and even a thought is a dharma. So dharma here doesn't mean the teaching. Okay, so it includes everything. So all kinds of beings, no matter it is tangible or intangible, they can also be a dharma. Just like my hand is waving, I'm waving, this gesture is also a dharma. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me, okay? When we talk about self-nature have these 4 features. One is permanence, the second one is independence, and then autonomy and control. So if we say emptiness, that means emptiness of something. So it is empty of permanence, empty of independence, empty of autonomy, and empty of control. What does that mean? If we use this microphone set an example, does it stay the same? No. Is it permanent? No, definitely it's not permanent, because if it stays the same, it will not create so much noise. Yeah, we can say, okay, stay the same, be quiet, and that is permanence. So that is fixed. Then no, it cannot. Does it have any sense of independence? Any sense of independence? No, why not?
It needs somebody to turn it on.
Oh, good. It needs somebody to turn it on, but that would be close to autonomy. Yeah, because it doesn't have its own agency. That's why it does not have autonomy. It cannot say, okay, since we talk about autonomy, we talk about this first. This microphone set, it's not created by itself. So it has no capability to create itself. That's one thing. And also, does it own itself? No, it's owned by someone else. But the someone else can be changed. It can be owned by John, and then John can sell it to Sue, right? So there's no fixed ownership regarding this audio set. Okay, and also, does it stay all the same? Is it stable?
We know this is not.
Yeah, good. So we are learning from that. We are thankful for this because it provides a good example to understand what is not stable. And also, does it have liberation? Is it liberated by itself? Definitely not, right? Because if I move it, then it's changed. It cannot say, okay, I have my freedom, I want to stay here. No, Ricky will say, no, you are not cooperating with us, so we are going to remove you. We are going to change you. You should not stay here. So it doesn't have full liberation of itself. And can it control itself?
No.
Very obvious, right? So if something or a person does not have autonomy, definitely he or she cannot control himself or herself. And let's go back to the concept of independence. It is not independence. Why not? Oh, okay. The tower? So that it can function. Okay, good. And what else?
It's battery.
Oh, battery. Microphone?
Yeah.
Good. And what else?
Physical support.
Oh, physical support. So we need a chair or a desk or something to support it. And what else?
You need something to make noise into it.
That's good. So it needs my voice, right? And good. Battery, yes. What else?
No audience.
What?
It's like audience.
Our audience? Oh, okay. You mean that because we need the audience so that you can listen to my lecture. Okay. Yeah, good. So these are all interconnected. And what else?
It doesn't exist by itself, but it needs all of these different components. So the microphone is not a thing of itself. All of these different items, components that make it a microphone.
Yes, good. So that's the here composition, how this tell us, because it's conditioned. Without proper way to make it, then it is not a microphone. And we need the right material to make it, to create it. So we need to understand all these components. When they are put together in the right way, then a good microphone or a functioning microphone is created. And if I like tear it and just rearrange it, it might not have the same function. So this needs to be well organized. And that's why this Dharma or this microphone, it is conditioned. So in Buddhism, we have a term for that. It's called a conditioned Dharma. In Chinese, it's 有为法. So all are created because of different causes and different conditions. That's why it can come into being. And so it cannot be independent from anything else. So it can, like we just keep talking, it needs support and it is the environment and it needs all the different conditions.
And when we can put a purpose into that equation?
The purpose?
The microphone has a purpose. All that's conditions and composition to serve a purpose.
Yes, so to serve the purpose in that also it's the how its function is.
Yes.
Right, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
but its purpose comes from outside though.
Yes.
It's more external.
Like a coin.
Mm.
It was made for one purpose, but it could be used for many different purposes.
Yes, and different functions.
And different
And
functions.
yeah, and that's
So
why
it doesn't have an inherent purpose. The
no.
only purposes that we put on it, we put the purpose on.
We add to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's our idea.
that's very good because it doesn't have an innate purpose. And that's why that links to what we talk about no thingness. If it is that specific purpose, then it has something. And that something is fixed. Yeah, it's always there. We cannot change it. Yeah, so the microphone has no self-nature. And let's talk about body. Maybe we can use our body as an example to understand our body has no self-nature. Okay, because we like our body a lot. We like who we are. We like how we look. And we have so much attachment to our physical body, to our appearance. So let's go over that and think about, is our body permanent? No, definitely. Why not?
It's older.
It gets older, good.
And recycle all the time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So how do you recycle your body?
Oh, our cells are
Oh,
6
yes,
months old.
yes.
The most.
Yeah, I heard that it's about like every seven years, all our cells like change.
The whole body is changing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In different stages.
Yeah. The whole body is changing. And it is changed every 7 years, but we don't even notice that. And we think that's the same me, the same I. So that is the putative continuity that keeps fooling us. Okay, aging and what else?
Women having babies.
Oh, babies, good.
That'll change the body.
That will change the body. And sickness? Yeah, good.
Before I'm a mother, right now I'm a grandma.
Oh, good. So does that suggest aging or suggest the change of your role as a human being? Right.
Changing.
Very good. So everything is changing. Our body, like you say, is recycling. The cells are changing, and also we digest food. So when we eat something and the food stay in our stomach and actually is digesting and goes to the colons and everything. So it's changing, and we create energy, and we are using energy in our body as well. So we can get sick, we can become healthy again, we can become old. And if you do go through the plastic surgery, will you become younger or older?
No.
No? No change?
No. You do change, but it doesn't make you younger.
Yeah, it doesn't make you younger. It does. Otherwise, why so many women want to go to have the...
It's like changing clothes.
Okay. So everything, no matter you become younger or healthier or older, actually that is a sign of change, and that is impermanence. Okay. Is our body independent from anything else? No. Why not?
Food.
We need food. Good.
We
So
interact constantly with food, with the nature itself, with other people.
Yes, good. Not just the nature, also other people. Just like here, we are together in this lecture. We need more than one audience. We can have one audience, that's fine, but a lecturer and a student. But we also have more, and we are here together. So we have a sense of community. We are practicing together. Okay, good. What else? The body is not independent. Do you have parents?
Yes.
Yes. When you were a little baby, do you have to rely on your parents to bring you up? Yes. And when we go to school and get education, do we need teachers? Do we need textbooks? Yeah. Do we need all these scientists who create all the trouble for us? We have to learn so much math. So it's all their fault. So we are not independent. We are not independent from other people, and we are depending all these different people, depending on their contributions, and also depending on those people who create chaos in our life, in society. We cannot really draw a line and isolate ourselves from society or from the entire world. We cannot do that. Also autonomy. Does our body have autonomy? It's
Not really.
not really. Our body is not created by itself.
No.
It comes from what? When we were little, yeah, from an embryo. And from the father and the mother. Our father and mother, and our father and mother comes from their parents, and their parents come from their parents. So we can trace back to an entire lineage of our family history. Yeah, so we don't, our physical body does not create itself. And does your body own itself?
No.
No, or maybe we can put it this way. Do we really own our body? No. Yeah, definitely. Like she talked about, we will eventually die one day. So if we really own that, our body, we will hold on to that. So we need to know that we don't have ownership of our body. We only have the right to use our body. And even the right to use our body, the body will expire one day. It has expiration day. And we need to understand that. But when we are using it, we just say thank you to our body. And we are grateful for our body, although you will become something else one day, although it's changing one day, although our body is creating troubles to us sometimes. Yeah, even our body stays healthy all the time, but we have a lot of attachment to our body. We always want to grasp our body. We want our body to stay healthy. We want our body to stay beautiful, to stay young forever. No, it's impossible. So that change also suggests that the body is not stable, right? It can change. And if we don't look at our health, we can also look at the shape of our body. When we are young, we are like very well shaped. When we become older, our belly also become bigger. Yeah. And so our hair becomes gray. Yeah. So everything is changing. It does not stay the same all the time. And the body, does it have liberation? Or the body has any freedom itself? Does it have full control of itself? No. Yeah. So just like I have my hands here, and I want to move something, I need gravity. If I'm in like space, doing space walking, can I also have full control of what I want to do in the space? It's impossible. Yeah, so these 4 different features or characteristics can help us to understand what is emptiness. So emptiness of some of the material world and emptiness of our physical body, and even the emptiness of our thinking. We think all the time. We change our thoughts. And our body, or we should say a person, is just a continuity of a series of thoughts. We think this is how I am, but next moment, I'm different. But I still think that is I. So these continuities is just putative. So what is I? I is just a stream of thoughts. And we think that is I. Okay. And so we, from the other aspects, we also can talk about what is emptiness. Everything is temporary. That is impermanence. We know that. And also everything is illusory, deceiving and delusional. When we look at this computer, oh, it's so beautiful. And then maybe, and I like it. And one day, if I have water spilled on the computer, do I still like it? No, I will just shout. Yeah, so everything is illusory, but we are fooled. We are deceived by the outside world and also by our thinking. In Buddhism, we can talk about these 3 aspects of how to understand something or a phenomenon. Like the first one in Chengjia in Chinese is provisional positing. So something exists, it's just temporarily. And also this temporary existence is provisional. So we call it provisional positing. I use positing, that means that because it exists just by its name. Just like we have our body, the body is just a name. It's nominal. It's a nominal existence. We call it a body, but a little bug doesn't call it a body. We call it a human body. A tree doesn't think that that is a human body. So we just name something. And once we name something, we are driven by this designation of that thing. Just like we call it a chair. And chair is just a name, but chair can turn into many different things. So a chair is not just a chair, just like we have brainstorming about a coin. A coin is not just a coin. So a person is not just a person. And if you have children, then definitely you know a child is not always a child. When your child is so little and so cute, oh, so cute, and I like you, you are adorable, you are so beautiful, I love you. When your child grow up and want to move out or doesn't want to listen to you, doesn't pay attention to you, what you suggest, what you wish from, what you hope, then is your child adorable again? No. Is your child loving? No. So sometimes you don't think, you think I want to kill you. Yeah. So a child, the so-called child, is just a name. And if we cannot see the change of our child, our children, then we just want to hold on to the certain aspect of your children. And then you create a lot of conflicts with your children. You don't see their change. And your children don't see your change. And that's why you cannot really have very good communication or good understanding of each other. So let's go back to the first one, provisional positing arising from causes and conditions. And this is what we talk about. All phenomena are conditional. And something come to existence needs a lot of different causes and conditions. Just like today we have this lecture. So there are different conditions that bring us together. We have time and you have time and we have this space and we have a lot of people making this come into reality. Okay, so that is called provisional positing. And the second type of provisional positing resulted from temporal continuity. That echoes what we talk about putative continuation or putative continuity. Yeah, we think it stays the same, but no, it's just because it continue. It's continuation. That's why we think it's the same. And the third one is provisional positing resulted from relativity. What does that mean? Just like this microphone is a good microphone, and that is different from the other microphone. That is a bad microphone. You are tall, I am short. That is relative. Someone is black, someone is white. That is relative. And this is a good space. That is not a so good space. That is also relative. Today, I look young. Tomorrow, I look older. So that is also relative. And we live in the world of relative. So we need to see through it and not be fooled by that. See, we see in society, sometimes we see people say, okay, someone who looks, a student looks ugly and her classmates don't like her and say you are ugly. And so she is bullied. What is ugly? What is beautiful? What is a smart kid? And what makes this kid not so smart? It's all relative. Are you smart? What is your answer?
I have my moments.
Relatively smart. Compared to whom?
To myself.
Oh, that's good. Today I'm smart. Yesterday I was so fooled. I was so stupid. Yeah. Sometimes when we do something silly, we laugh at ourselves. Long ago, I got an iPhone, and I was like trying to play with to fool Siri, and I say, Siri, are you silly? But it can understand my question. Yeah, I don't remember Siri's answer, but definitely she wanted to avoid that direct confrontation from me. Yeah, so everything is relative, but we don't see the relativity in the world, and we just stuck in one situation. Okay, so if we can see all these like different conditions and its fake continuation and also its relativity, we will have clear insight of other the outside world and also our inner world.
Because of relativity, we can be two different things at the same time. We can be young and old.
Yes.
Because I'm younger than a 100-year-old person.
Yes.
Older than a 2-year-old.
Yes. So everything is relative. Yeah, it depends on with whom we compare, right? And with what we compare. Okay, any questions about these three?
So provisional positing is essentially when we assign fixed characteristics based on like the present conditions, but forgetting that they are all constantly changing.
Would you say that again?
Provisional positing, so would that be the fixed characteristics that we assign to something based on the current changing conditions?
Provision.
How would you define
Okay, provisional positing, it emphasizes on its change feature and emphasize on is just nominal. So it's not, like you say, it's not fixed, but we don't see that.
Right.
We stay with this fixation and we want to hold on to what it is. And we cannot see it is just provisional. Provisional means is changing, is temporary. Yeah, but we don't see it. Yeah, so in terms of space, something that exists is provisional. In terms of time, something exists also is provisional. And in terms of this certain something, its relationship with the other world, like the computer and the chair. So we see the difference, they exist in different space location and how their shape are different, how their functions are different, and how their weight or their values are different. So all are relative. Yeah, and this so-called relative actually is also provisional. Because now I have this computer, it has more value than this lamp. But if it is broken in the next minute, the value becomes 0. But if I think, okay, my computer is dead now, and I think it's 0 value, but someone comes and say, oh, I can use the metal, and there's gold in there, and I can use the gold, right? There's gold in the computer, and I can use it, and I can melt it, and I can put it together with other gold, and I can make a gold coin. Yeah, so see, everything is relative, but we don't see the relativity. And we say, oh, this is just trash. But an artist see a piece of trash, say, oh no, that's a piece of art. Yeah, and also a businessman see the trash and say, okay, I can use this trash to recycle and I can make money. And when I make money, I can use the money to feed a lot of hungry children. And I can use the money to do this and that. So I can create a lot of possibilities and change the world and change my own life. Yeah, okay. And so here is Sorites paradox. I don't know if you have been aware of this. It's a philosophical question. So we have here, if you look at the big picture, it's a heap of sand. And now we have this heap of sand. If we remove a single grain individually, one at a time, so at what point it will be considered not a heap? Can we pinpoint that? No. Yeah, you just remove one particle, one single grain at a time. By when can we say, oh, now you are not a heap? No, we cannot pinpoint that. And the opposite is also right. If we have a grain of sand, and then I add it 2, 3, 4, I keep adding more grains of sand. So at what time can we call it a pile, a heap of sand? No. That tells us what is relativity. What is provisional positing? It's changing all the time. It's just provisional. And how we name it as a heap of sand. So it's just nominal. So these are all the concepts of emptiness. Okay, so here is a question for you to think about. We can contemplate on that. If someone is yelling at you, can you see the provisional nature of the person's voice? Yes, good. How?
Because it's louder.
Because it's louder?
Louder.
Mm-hmm.
than used to this person.
Okay, good. So that's relativity, right? Okay, what else?
It will eventually end.
You will eventually end. That's good.
So for the causes of conditions, that something is causing them to be angry, for them to be yelling, but there can be other causes where that same voice can be soothing or comforting, because the conditions are for them to be comforting.
Mm-hmm. Good. And also the conditions of why the person is yelling at you. We have to find out the cause.
We associate yelling as an angry moment.
Right.
But
So
also it could be saving you.
yes.
People yell at you and say, hey, get out from under that, it's gonna kill you.
Yes.
And we immediately go to anger though.
Yeah, we have associated normally. We think yelling is negative always.
Mm-hmm. Good. So then that is what we think yelling is always negative, but it's not always negative. It's how we name it. Yeah. How we picture it, how we associate it, something with it. Yeah. We give it a name, we give it a certain feature. Yeah. Okay. And what else?
Being fearful.
Being fearful. Okay. And so fearful in what sense? You see yourself
The other person, why was that underlying problem? What causes to yell? Versus, oh, I just heard this start yelling at me, and then that I start reacting. And then that kind of caused my emotional turbulence. I guess being able to have that moment to pause, to analyze, investigate what's underlying issues.
Yes, good. So we talk about the conditions or causes of how the yelling is troubling us. And also maybe the yelling is saving our life. And also the voice itself will change, right? It will come into an end. So nothing stays the same all the time. And even the volume of the yelling is changing. We see the vibration, we see the dynamics here. So it's not stable. And if we see through the change, the different aspects of this voice, well, can we always hold on to the voice? No, we cannot. If we cannot hold on to the voice, why do we feel upset when someone is yelling at me? We have to see the change of the person, the change of the voice, and maybe the different, the purpose that creates the yelling, the voice. So we can come to appreciate the voice And also we think the person, even if the person is angry at us, we think, oh, thank you, so that I have something to contemplate on its emptiness. And you help me to create more insight to understand that. And you help me to create the insight about the interconnection between me and you. And I'm thankful that I can hear the voice. I am not, right? I can hear the voice. It's so good.
It's also our own perception too, because we may perceive somebody's yelling at us, but if you ask them, they might say, I didn't yell at you, you know, but we might think it is.
Yeah.
Because of our own thoughts and feelings about whatever's going on.
Right, very good. So everything is delusional. We create that kind of uncomfortableness, yeah, uneasiness. We picture that, yeah. And that comes into the question about communication. If we presuppose and we assume that yelling is bad, then can we have...
And then yellow is bad.
What?
And then yellow is bad.
Yeah, yeah. Then we create a lot of conflicts,
yes.
Right? And then that is not good communication. And that in the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha told us that all conditioned dharmas are like a dream, a magic trick, a bubble, a shadow, and it also like dew or a flash of lightning. So how does all this suggest, these different phenomena suggest? A dream, a magic trick, bubbles, shadows. Anything in common between all these?
Temporary and illusion.
Temporary, good, and illusion. Emptiness, yes. And that's how we understand emptiness, because everything is illusory. Everything is changing, is temporary. And that's why we give it we call it emptiness. Yeah. They do not stay the same. A dream stays the same? No. Yeah. And also magic trick. We know is fooling us, is deceiving. You want to say anything? Oh no, okay. So, and also a bubble. It can comes into nothing quickly.
Comes and goes, nothing and was never there.
Yeah, yeah. When you go to the park and see the kids playing and creating a lot of bubbles. Yeah. How about bubble teas? It will be gone one day. If you eat it, it's gone. It does not stay the same. It does not stay always in a cup. It can come into your stomach, and then it can come out and become nutrition of a tree, and it can turn into a piece of paper.
And the cycle continues.
Yes. Yeah. So that's so interesting about emptiness, because it can become from one thing and it can turn into something else, and it can turn into many different things. And the Buddha said this is how we should perceive them, how we should perceive all the different conditioned dharmas, because everything is changing. So we should not hold on to it, and we should not cling to that. We should not have attachment to certain things. And we can talk about the threefold emptiness. Threefold emptiness, if we use the, do you know prajna? Prajna means wisdom in Buddhism. And in the 6 perfections, the first one is generosity. So when we talk about emptiness, we can understand it from the 3 aspects. That is the giver, the person, the donor who donates something, and the person who is the taker, who receives something, and also the thing that is donated. For example, if you donate $100 to a temple, the $100, the bill is a donation. And you are the person who give the money. The temple is that which receive the money. So I am the person who are making the donation. Am I changing all the time? Yes, of course. We talk about the change of our body and the change of our mind. So I am empty. And also the temple, does the temple stay all the time? Stay the same? No, the temple is here, but it might be closed one day. Or if there's a war, the temple, the entire building is destructed. So the temple is gone. What?
Weather affects it too.
Yes. Yeah, like we have tornadoes, hurricanes, and floodings. So the temple will be changed. So there's no fixation of the temple. And also the money itself, it is changing. Why? What?
Inflation.
Yeah, good. Very good. Inflation. Yeah. And what else?
You might buy something with the money, now you got something else.
Oh, good. Yeah. Because we donate $100 and the temple can use it to buy something else. And what else? The threefold emptiness in this example is to help us to understand when we practice generosity, we should not be attached to what we have done, to what we are doing. You say, okay, oh, and when you come to a temple and say, oh, the other day I donate $100. Did you see that? Are you happy with that? Or if you bring some kind of some fruit to the temple and make an offering and say, oh, do you like the fruit I bought? And if the recipient say, oh no, sorry, I don't like this kind of food, will you be upset? A little bit. Yeah, that's good.
That's the difference between a gift and a bribe. That's the way I look at it. When I give gifts, I try to think of it as be careful. I'm not looking for thank you.
That's
it's
very
hard.
good.
It's really hard, but I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
The other day, a guy, he told me that he went to a grocery store and bought some flour for himself. And the other guy standing behind him and ready to pay and asked him, oh, you are buying the flowers? And so, yes, because today is my birthday. And the guy behind him just say, happy birthday. And he say, I will pay for you. So he really paid for his flowers. And he felt so grateful. He just said, thank you. And he told me, I think that's what I should stop. I feel thankful at that moment, but I should not continue to say, hey, what is your name? Can I have a contact with you? And where do you come from? Or something. No more chatting, because he already feel the gratitude in his mind and say thank you for that person. For him, that is good enough. We don't want to make for a more connection. That's not necessary for him. Yeah, but he always feel that the kind of thankfulness in his mind, and he even bring that up to me and let me know how happy at that moment he was. Yeah, so when we talk about the giver and the recipient and the donation, is that once we have done, then we just let go. I have given you something, and like I give you a gift and you have it. Oh, thank you. Then the next day you saw the gift is in the hand of another person. Will you be happy? Sometimes you are not, right? Say, I give you that present. How come you give that to other person? And especially, I hate that person. He's my enemy. Why did you do that? So we are not keeping a distance from the thing we have given. And we are not creating some kind of distance between ourselves as a giver and the recipient. Yeah, we want to earn something back. We want to have a thank you. We want to hear or see the happy face of the person who received our gift. So we want a lot of things to be returned. It might not be material, just a smile or just a thank you, that's good enough. But if not, will we be happy? We always expect something. So that is that kind of expectation make us unhappy. And we are deluded by what we are doing. Making donation is something so good, but we want to feel good.
Rewarded.
Yeah, we want it. And we want to be good. We want to feel so good when I make a donation. So we have a lot of expectation, and that creates a lot of attachment. And it will create some kind of suffering as well, because we are unhappy.
But that reward is a human nature, or is a condition of the society pressure to make us feel that way? That's my struggle. For example, in the offering of the flower, my natural reaction would be, no, thank you, but thank you so much for the offering. By itself, for me, is a gift.
Good.
Not the actual purchasing of the flower. So the intent, exactly.
Yeah.
So being kind.
Yeah.
The being kind. So this is for me what is really the value.
Yeah, definitely. But that's your option.
That's my option. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be my option. And that's the conflict between my option and what the society altogether imposes you to.
Yeah. And and the gentleman who received that, he chose to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And one day he can share the happiness with others. Maybe one day when he sees someone who, okay, your birthday, oh, I can pay for you. It's possible as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
there's a concept called pay it forward.
Pay forward.
Pay forward.
Just kind of that concept of doing something nice for somebody, not telling them, you know, and then hopefully that they would pay it forward.
Yeah.
Help somebody else.
Yeah. But see, the hope.
We hope the condition.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if I pay forward and the person choose not to pay forward.
You just have to not think about that.
Yes, that's good. If I keep hoping, and they will continue, of course, we want to practice sharing, and that will help everyone. But if others don't practice that, do we have to feel upset or disappointed?
I think it's of human nature to feel that way, just naturally. But having this moment where you can be mindful of your feelings and emotions, that you have this sense of attachment to it, I think that's a win. And then to recognize and being aware that you have this emotions of attachment, like a high expectation. You know, we all know, like, giving without expecting something in return, but it's really hard to do it. Like, we all, you know, give, and then we're expecting smiles or gift back or from the person. But recognize we have this crave, we have this desire, and then, you know, cultivating that emptiness.
Yes, very good. And that's why we have to recognize and accept we are just human beings. And we have to acknowledge our human nature. But still, on the other side is that we also have Buddha nature. And that's what keeps us hopeful. And that's why we can practice and cultivate generosity and cultivate other 5 kinds of perfections, paramitas as well. So, and that's why we need to be mindful, and we need to understand what is emptiness. And when we make a donation, we are mindful. When someone is yelling at us, we are mindful. And that is also, if we can understand emptiness, that is a practice of mindful at that time. And when we feel suffered, we also have to practice mindful. And how can we practice mindfulness? It is because one way is that we can see through the emptiness of our suffering. Then we can practice mindfulness at the same time, because we are not deluded by this suffering. We can see through it. We can see clearly about its temporality, its provision. Yeah, it's just a name. Okay.
During the example of the gift giving, if the intention is to help, and we see if it helps, the checking to make sure if the donation is helping is not the attachment part of it, but our expectation that it should help, it should be a good thing, that is where the attachment comes in, right?
Yes, yes. So once we have made the donation, then we just let go. We have to cut off our relationship with this donation. But we keep thinking that I am the person who make the donation, and you are the person who receive my donation. Yeah. Just like when there are natural disasters, a lot of people tend to make donation. But will you keep tracking where the donation go? No, no need to that. Once we make the donation, we just trust the organization or the person who are handling this donation and to help those who are in need. Yeah. Otherwise, we will make ourselves a lot of difficulties in life. Make life simple. Yeah, and treat us nicely. Yeah.
I remember exactly that. So I did it. Now, with this conversation came to my mind that I did involuntarily donations. Oh,
involuntarily.
I lost money. It just got off of my pocket, lost it. $20, $100. I did happen here and there. I say so, and then instead of to be frustrated, oh, I lost my money. I hope somebody found it and can have a good use for it. So it really, when I thought about this, it gives me a peace, something like that. It makes it easy. I didn't suffer. Oh, I lost my money, so I need to be more careful. I hope somebody have found it and could have used for it.
Yeah, very good. That reminds me of my experience. One day, a lady and me, we went out and I lost my rosary. And this string of rosary, the counting beads, I like it a lot and I use it a lot, but it's gone, it's lost. And the lady who took me out and said, Shifu, do you want to go through the path we have gone and to try to look for your rosary? And I told her, no need to do that. Anyone who pick it up and hopefully the person will use it and like it. That's what I said to her, but I forgot that thing. And several years later, she brought that up and told me that she really appreciated what I said about that. Yeah, so that's exactly the same. We hope that this something I cherish that is gone, it does not owned by me. It was owned by me. Now I am not the owner, and I hope the new owner will use it. And if the new owner does not really use it well, it's up to them.
I will never know.
Yeah, it's not something.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's not something we have to think of that. Yeah, okay. So here, if we can practice that, then we can practice letting go. And if we can let go, that's true liberation in Buddhism. And that's why in the Heart Sutra, it says that nothing is to be attained and nothing should be attached to. Okay, how do we practice emptiness in daily life? Let's summarize what we have go through today. The first is to acknowledge the change of others, the change of other people, the change of the environment, and even the change of ourselves. And the second thing is to see the potential of ourselves and others. Because your child does not stay the same. Your boss doesn't have to be the same person all the time. And your loved ones will also change as well. Because of the change, we see the potential of them. You see the change of a child. If you think, okay, I'm so smart, how come I have you such a dumb child? But you have to see the potential of your child because your child has Buddha nature. What?
Different qualities.
Different qualities? Yes, and also your child has Buddha nature and your child is emptiness. That means it has all the different possibilities. You have to see that. Otherwise, if you just have the same idea about your child, or you always give your child the same comments and say something not so nice, you are creating conflicts in your house, in your family. Okay, and also we need to try to practice letting go and not to hold on to things so tightly. And we need to understanding I myself is changing all the time. So if I am changing, how can I expect others to not change themselves? Right? So we have to recognize and accept our aging, sickness, and death one day. And if we can recognize that, then we will not have fear about death. We will not have so much dislike of this and that. We will not have worries about what will happen to us. And so the important thing is to accept what is going on in the world, to accept who I am, and to accept the change of myself, the change of others. And then we will have true insight of the changing world and the change of our inner world. And we can have true realization of emptiness. Okay, any questions so far? Or do you have any? And I have to apologize because I have vertigo and feel nausea. So it is impossible for me to continue and to lead you to practice the meditation this afternoon. So I have to apologize. See, I cannot even voice very clearly. So this afternoon, if you choose to stay and to meditate, I suggest you try to meditate on the breathing. Just like the topic I was supposed to give you is to contemplate on the empty nature of your breathing. Our breathing is not permanent, and it does not have full control of itself. It does not have autonomy, okay? And it is not independent. You know what I'm talking about? The 4 different characters that it does not have. So you can go through when you meditate, you first place the focus. You place the focus on the tip of your nose and try to watch your breathing in and out. And once you feel like your mind is calm, then you can start to contemplate on the 4 different characters of your breathing. So first you go through the impermanence of your breathing, because sometimes we breathe very deep, sometimes it's shallow, and sometimes we make noise, sometimes it's so smooth, sometimes it's so calm. So you see the differences of your own breathing. It does not stay the same. And also, how do we breathe? We need the air. Where does the air come from? Comes from
Plants.
what?
Plants.
The plants. Yes, thank you. And where does the plants come from? The soil. Yeah, everything, the entire universe. So we see our breathing is depending on others. And also when I'm sitting here, I'm breathing in some air, and the air was exhaled by others, by the people who were sitting right next to you. So we see this interchange and this interconnection between us and others. And so this is the world of interconnection. Okay, and we cannot really be really isolate ourselves from others. So this is mutual dependence between us and outside world.
So when you meditate, so after you observing your breath, deep and shallow, and then the next stage is be aware of others.
Not be aware of the people right next to you, but like if you are sitting with your eyes closed, you contemplate on your relationship with others. Yes, but don't pay attention to who is sitting to you and trying to imagine, oh, I'm breathing in the air that comes from the person. No, don't do that. Don't visualize. You just contemplate on the relationship. So we cannot really isolate ourselves with others. And if you don't like the person, oh, I don't like you. Well, you don't like the person, but you inhale the air from the person. Yeah. Can we draw a borderline between me and the person I don't like? No. It's hard.
We share
everything.
One thing I think we know, but we never put it in those clear paths that you explained about emptiness today. Emptiness does not exist because in a way emptiness is not an absolute.
Yes.
So which means doesn't exist basically in the way that, so the cup is full of something, or if it's tea, or if it's juice, or if it's air, but it's something there. It's just depending how I want to see it and what label I want to put it. So in the meditation is the same. It would be the same. What I'm gonna feed my thoughts of or not.
To feed your thoughts?
During the meditation, we're trying to be contemplating.
Yes.
So in that contemplation is what I fill the void of the existing or the not existing emptiness. So that's because I will be continue thinking. I have thoughts coming and going, a monkey mind. So it's just like recognizing those and giving or not giving value to it, weight to them. So that's more or less what I understood. So what the emptiness is only thinking is that contemplation of what is inside of my cup, of my thoughts.
And if you in meditation, we need to know the subject and the object. So I am the person who is doing the contemplation. So I'm the subject. And the so-called I here is my mind. My mind is doing the contemplation. And the object is my breathing. This afternoon, we will use the breathing as the object of our meditation. And if you want to use a cup and as your contemplation, that's always
like myself as a cup and whatever I'm gonna put it inside there.
If you want to have that kind of imagination, it's fine. Yeah, but don't switch the, don't change the object of your meditation all the time.
Sure.
In one session, you just pick one object. So if in this session, you want to use your breathing as your object of meditation, it's good, just continue that. And in the next session, if you want to use a piece of paper or your physical body,
yeah, or
your emotion, that's fine as well. If you are sitting here and you feel like agitated, and you just use that kind of agitation as the object of your meditation, and trying to analyze or contemplate on the change aspect, on the impermanence, on the lack of autonomy and lack of control of your emotion, then we see everything is so empty. Then why am I attached to my agitation? No, then that will help you go through, and the agitation hopefully will be gone. Yeah, and you will go back to the state of mindfulness. So once we are done with the contemplation, we try, we just not to think anymore. You just try to be mindful and keep your knowing, keep your awareness in your meditation. And if the monkey in your mind comes to bother you and why to try to raise your attention, then you have to practice and say, not really say to you, but you just remain mindful and let it go. Let the thoughts go, but don't try to chase after your thoughts. And don't try to blame yourself and say, I'm meditating, how come I am making so many thoughts? No, if you do that, then you are creating more thoughts. And the monkey will be much, much more happier.
Yeah.
When the monkey is happy, then you are not happy.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So, and that's how we do the meditation, and try to be mindful and to be, to know who is the one who is doing the contemplation. So that is the concept knowing, because we have Buddha nature and we have this inherent awakening. And that's why we can practice, we can understand, and we can create insight of understanding what emptiness is. Any more questions? No? Okay. So nice to see you, and nice to have this dharmic connection with you. And I hope you will become mindful and really have insightful understanding of or realization of what emptiness is. 阿弥陀佛。